I'd like to say I don't know why these game companies keep pushing this, but I do know why. Let's get into it. So, for quite a while now, since the 2010s with the service OnLive, there has been this push towards game streaming. And game streaming, for those of you who don't know, is a game being played through the cloud. In other words, it's not on a console, it's not on a device, you don't own a physical or digital copy of that game. It is stored in a server somewhere, and when you play it, you need to have the internet architecture to be able to send your inputs out to the game and receive the visual information back to your TV from the server, back and forth in real time. So there are obviously challenges for that with people who have even moderately decent internet still can't really get the best experience as of yet. But I digress a little bit here. Game streaming, it could be the way of the future, and I think game companies are really trying to push forward the idea that they are going to hold all of the information and you are just going to access it like a Netflix situation. You go to the server, you pull down the show, you watch it. When you're done, it's gone. It was never stored on your system. You don't even have a system, a game console, a $500 box sitting below your TV. You can access this stuff on your phone, you can access it on a tablet, you can access it on a smart TV. That's the way they want this to go because they have seen the proliferation of mobile gaming, how cheap mobile games can make billions of dollars because they're simply accessible to everyone across the globe. Millions, billions of people have access to mobile phones on Android or iOS. And because there are billions of people in the pool, your game reaches to a larger audience. And I think that's what they're trying to achieve with game streaming. They want to create a situation where everyone has access to their games without that $500 barrier to entry, because at the end of the day, they want to make more money. And while I don't necessarily blame them, there are so many problems with this at this present time. So Google Stadia recently announced that they are closing up their doors in January of 2023. It's been not a good run. Honestly, Google Stadia was the most promising yet of all the game streaming services because they had the architecture to support a much smoother experience than a lot of the other streaming services could do. They had some great resolution scaling technology that would allow the game to kind of fluctuate to fit your internet, and it was in general a better, more stable experience than really any of the other competitive devices. We have things like Amazon Luna, for example, or the Nvidia version, or even Microsoft's xCloud, which does work pretty decent on your cell phones and tablets if you have access to good Wi-Fi. However, Google Stadia was the best of them all, and Google Stadia going down really highlights that we are just not ready for game streaming. Some people can do it, some people can enjoy it. If you're playing something like Fortnite or Call of Duty Mobile or something on your phone, it does work. Sometimes it can be a bit laggy, but the problem is it's not good enough for the masses, and they want to reach the masses. These companies are investing billions of dollars into this kind of architecture and technology, and they need to see a return of billions of dollars in order to justify that expense and carry forward. So Google Stadia is now closing down and taking with it access to all those games that people have paid for. People have paid for controllers, and people have paid for pro memberships. There have been some exclusive games which are now going to be in limbo as to whether they'll ever be ported to something else or not. So it's a bit of a tragedy, even if you never used it. This is going to have ripple effects throughout the gaming industry for a while here as we adjust to now a reality that does not include Google Stadia. Of course, some of those games and some of that stuff is going to move over to competitive platforms like Amazon's Luna. Amazon does have the money to continue to invest in their platform, and maybe their platform will get a little bit stronger. Google has a bad reputation for not sticking with things. They come up with these crazy harebrained ideas, they run with them for a couple of years, and then they just abandon them. They do not have a long-term vision for investing in things like we see with Microsoft buying Activision or something. When Microsoft buys something, they're in it for the long run. They're not looking at making money in this quarter or even this generation. They're looking 10, 20, 50 years in the future and saying there's going to be a future where digital purchases and game streaming are the only way to consume games. And that definitely will come to pass at some point, where that Netflix model for gaming will be virtually the only way to consume games other than niche collectible markets. You may see a gaming console similar to the limited run games concept, where it's a console that's specifically designed, like the Evercade, for example, to always have physical games. But the mass market appeals, your Sonys, your Xboxes, your Nintendos, all of these are eventually going to be streaming only services. It's inevitable. That's the way the whole world has been going since, honestly, the 2010s, with the rise of Netflix, and we're going to see this happen more and more and more. But it's going to take a while, because, well, you can stream a 1080p or a 4K movie fairly well, even on not the greatest internet. Having that back and forth traffic of game streaming requires a much more solid connection, a much more reliable connection, and a much faster connection in order to really get to the place where game streaming does not require compromises. And that's the thing. People are demanding 4K 60 in their video games at this point. Not everybody, but a lot of people want 4K 60, and even our newest consoles like the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X have troubles providing that 4K 60 with ray tracing enabled and all that kind of thing. They basically can't do it. So can you imagine trying to get that out of a streaming system on weak internet? Like, it's just not possible. So game streaming, cloud gaming, is always going to require compromises. You're going to lose frame rate, you're going to lose resolution, you're going to get input lag. And until we can get rid of all of those compromises and provide the exact same experience or better with cloud gaming, it's just not going to reach a mass market appeal. I'm sorry guys, but we're 20 years away from having every person on the planet have that kind of internet. Now, maybe if Elon Musk's Starlink really takes off and we get broadband internet across the globe, but I can tell you right now, if you live outside a major city or even a minor population center, I for one live outside, about 10 minutes outside of a town of 30,000 people. They have good internet in town. Out here, I'm on wireless. So you know what? I have 30 to 50 megabits download and 2 upload, like 2 megabits upload. This video that I'm making right now is probably going to take me 40 minutes to an hour to upload on my internet. So, cloud gaming is not a possibility for me in my home. Maybe on my phone when I'm in town on 5G, but that also consumes data, and pretty much everybody has some kind of data cap or data limitation on their phones. So until all this network stuff is sorted out, I really think cloud gaming is going to be a niche thing for people in cities for the most part. But anyways, guys, what do you think about Google Stadia closing down? Was this something that you were interested in? Did you own Google Stadia? Did you subscribe to it? Are you disappointed that it's shutting down? Let me know down in the comments, and we'll see how many of you think that you're ready for the cloud streaming future. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Stay classy.